So for today's class, I do recommend having yourself a good clear area on the floor, 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 yoga mats, some sort of padding to go underneath your knees for when we do make it all the way down to the ground. A yoga belt of some sort, could be a bathrobe tie or a proper yoga belt, and then a pair of matching yoga blocks. The pair of mismatched chickens is absolutely optional. But you do want to have yourself a pair of matching yoga blocks. And we will start standing up. Start with your palms forward with a great big shoulder shrug. Inhale up and exhale back and down. Let's repeat. Great big shoulder shrug, great big yawn. Inhaling up, exhale back and down. One more time. Great big shoulder shrug, great big yawn. Inhaling up and exhale back and down. And then keeping your knees soft. Let's inhale, take those arms up and overhead. And then as you exhale, let those arms swing. Pick an arm, it doesn't matter which. I'm going to say right arm. And take that right arm and drape it across your chest. Pull it all the way across, as far as it's willing to go this morning. Let your shoulders drop down away from your ears. Now you're using your left hand to pull that right elbow across your chest. And when it won't go any further, hold it there. Don't let the elbow go anywhere, but then engage as if you were shoving your right elbow to the right. It doesn't look like you're doing anything, but push hard. Hold it in place with the left hand and shove with your right elbow to the right. Let that go, let it swing. We're going to do the same thing on the other side. Draping the other arm, left arm across your chest. Pull it all the way across until it won't go any further, and then hold it in place as you actively shove against it. So left elbow is pushing to the left, right hand is holding in place. Again, all the while your knees are unlocked, standing tall, and you're breathing. And we're going to take the same idea of arm across the chest to the next level. I'm going to turn it into an eagle arm pose. Let those arms go. I breathe and maybe even yawn. Start crossing that right arm on top. The right arm on top. Cross that right arm on top and give yourself a great big hug. Now fingers go down below your armpits. You wrap up nice and tight, giving yourself a great big hug. Breathe into those back ribs. Oh, it's starting to rain. You can hear it. Breathing into your back ribs, pulling your front ribs, pulling your belly, and lean into that spot between your shoulder blades, feeling that stretch happen. Now, if this is as far as it goes for you this morning, this is a lovely place to be. Stay here, keep breathing, or hook that bottom arm underneath and wrap the top arm around it. Now, this is where you might need your belt. Your hands don't quite catch one another. You can use that belt to bridge the gap. I'm going to turn to the side here to show you. I am pushing my elbows forward as I pull my waistline and belly backward. So push those elbows forward. Keep breathing into those back ribs, into your shoulder blades, and feel that lovely stretch. Elbows forward, waistline and belly back. And then drop it. Let those arms swing, and we'll do the other side. We'll start crossing that left arm on top. And once again, wrap up nice and tight. Fingers down below your armpits, giving yourself a great big hug, breathing into those back ribs. Maybe even yawning. Then taking it to the next level again, hooking that bottom arm underneath, wrapping the top arm around it, using that belt to bridge the gap as necessary. Elbows forward, waistline and belly backward. Breathing into those back ribs. We're going to repeat this same stretch and add in some variations just to get all the different muscles that sit on your shoulders. So let that one go. Get ready. You're going to start crossing that right arm on top. So we're going back to that first side. Wrap up. And now you're going to push your hands away. Oh, it just gets it a little bit different, huh? So hands pushing away from your nose. And waistline and belly pulling backward. And elbows pushing forward as well. If you can get all that to work and still breathe and experience a lovely stretch. Knees unlocked, toes spread. And release. Gets a little easier each and every time we repeat this. Crossing that left arm on top. Wrap it up. And second verse, same as the first. Tilting your hands away and then pushing your elbows forward as far as they're willing to go as you pull your belly and ribs back. Knees stay unlocked. You might talk your head side to side, yawn. Keep breathing deeply. Oh, good. My screen finally unfroze. And release. Oh, couple more repetitions here. I've got more variations for you. This right arm goes on top. You wrap up. Oh, it's getting easier now. Get a good grip on it. Now your challenge, keep your fingers pointing up towards the sky, is to lift and lower. So think about forearms up and down. Oh, wiggle your jaw, maybe yawn. Up and down. Flossing those shoulders. And whoosh. Wash the spider out. Let's do the other side, crossing that left arm on top. Wrap up, tangle up, and then move those arms up and down. One of my favorite things about yoga. Been doing it for decades at this point, and there's always variations. And one more time. Whoosh the spider out. Got another variation on these eagle arms. I could probably spend a whole hour doing eagle arms, but we're going to do another variation here, crossing that right arm on top. Wrap it up. At this point, since you've crossed your arms 3 or 4 times, probably able to catch hold of the wrist. Again, if you're not quite catching hold of it, use that belt to span the gap. Now, we're going to tilt the arms to the side. The right arm on top, you're going to tilt the arms to the right. Weird, huh? So I went from here, there. Whichever arm's on top, you're tilting in that direction. And then if that's not confusing enough, you let your head fall away. And if all of that is still making sense, you want a bit more neck stretch, you nod yes. That makes sense. Shoulders stay down. Relax your jaw. Yawn. Oh, and feel that lovely neck and shoulder stretch. This is why we get out of bed on a Sunday morning. Maybe we're just rolling out to the living room, but it's better than nothing. Some of these stretches we've not done in a while. Oh, you could feel them so deeply. And then release. Now, don't be surprised. Oh, if the other side feels completely different. So, crossing that left arm on top, wrap it up. Left arm on top means your arms tilt to the left. Your head falls to the opposite side. And if you like that stretch, you nod yes. Yes, I love that neck and shoulder stretch. Now, isn't it funny how one side works so much better than the other? And then finally, reset and release. Oh, those arms, completely different. Big inhale, arms come all the way up and overhead. And now bring your hands together behind your back. Interlace your fingers. Do a good shoulder shrug, up, back, and down, and skid your thumbs down your tailbone. Start pulling your elbows away from your back, any amount at all. Take your feet as wide apart as your mat. Put a generous bend in your knees and hinge over. And keep breathing. So knees are bent, belly resting on or between your thighs, head hanging down towards the floor. Can you relax your toes? And then hands come to your hips, hands come onto your lap. Your knees are bent, so you have a lap. Hands on your lap, and you're going to look forward. And then let your belly drop. Shoulders pull down your back. Try to put your shoulder blades into your back waistband as you let your heart and head lift up. So you're in a sway back position. And then do the opposite. Exhale, pull your tummy in, tuck your tail, arch your back for cat. Inhale, head up, tail up for cow. And exhale for cat. Arching and rounding. Arms are staying more or less straight. Knees are staying bent. I think about tucking in my front ribs and then letting my belly spill out. Flipping my butt up. Whatever works for you, get it moving. The next time you exhale, pull that tummy in, walk your hands up your lap, come all the way out up, and do a great big shoulder shrug, a great big yawn. The palms are forward. Repeat, great big shoulder shrug, great big yawn. Inhaling up, exhaling back and down. Now, take your feet nice and wide. Do make sure both your feet are on the same surface, both feet on the same sticky mat. Toes turning out to the side, feet are wide. You're using up that whole yoga mat. And then you're going to get down low. Toes are turned out. Toes and knees are pointing in the same direction. Hips go down low. You're going to turn and look over your right shoulder and twist that upper body. And inhale to center. And exhale, look left. And inhale to center. Keep pushing those knees wide. Maybe pick up your big toes as you twist. Inhale to center. And twist. Knees are going wide. Weight shifting towards the pinky toe sides of your feet. Inhale, center. Once more on each side. Big twist. And one more time to the left. And come to center. Hands come on down to the ground. You turn your toes in, kick your heels out, find yourself in a wide-legged forward fold. Toes in, heels out. Prostrata Padottanasana, wide-legged forward fold. Toes are in, knees are out. Sorry, toes are in, heels are out. Knees are bent. Diving down. And when you found your balance, you can clasp your hands together behind your back. Once again, pressing your knuckles up towards the ceiling, letting your head hang down. Hands coming to your hips. Hands coming all the way down to the ground. And you're going to heel toe wiggle your feet in a little bit more, maybe mat width apart. Toes are still pointing out to the side, and you're going to kappa squat. Well, we're going to get into some hip stuff now. If your heels don't quite touch down, you can roll up a sticky mat. Or if you've got these cheap little blocks, you can put blocks underneath your heels. You do want your heels on something. So either on a rolled up sticky mat or on blocks or on a couch cushion. heels are down on something. Another option is to take your feet wider apart. Sometimes that helps get your heels down. Palms come together, shoulders shrug down your back. And as you drive your elbows wide, your knees squeeze against those elbows. Pull your shoulders down your back, grow your neck nice and long. Try putting your weight into your heels. Maybe pick up those big toes and breathe. Good morning, hips. All right. If you have those blocks within arm's reach, go ahead and grab them and get ready to sit upon them in what I call butt cheek configuration. So you've got one block for each butt cheek. And have a seat. Bottoms of your feet come together for butterfly pose, Baddha Konasana. And you'll see me wiggling here. I'm pulling the flesh away from one sit bone and then the flesh away from the other. So my butt is spread out and my sit bones are perched right on the edge of my blocks. Bottoms of the feet are together. Shoulders shrugged up, back, and down. And use your hands like kickstands. Push your hands down against the blocks or against the floor to lift your chest up into that sway back cow thing. So you've got a bit of an arch in your back. So chest is up. Nice long front body. Fingertips pressing down. And now push your feet hard into each other. Push the pinky toe sides of your feet into each other hard. Maybe your feet begin to open up like a book. The harder you push your feet into each other, the more your thighs will fall open. Breathe. And then relax. All right, pick a side, any side. This is my right hand, putting that right hand down. Stretch that left arm over. So left hand's coming over to the side, and you're going to push that left knee away without using your hands. So activate that left knee. Push that left knee down towards the floor, even as you reach away from it. And then relax. Now, without using your hand, can you take that leg and flip it the other way? And stretch. And then release. Flip it. Again, hands free if you can. Back to our starting position, and we'll do the other side. Left hand comes down, right arm comes up and over. And without using your hands, push that right knee down. Or more side stretch. Bottom hand is a kickstand, so this hand is pushing into the ground. Right arm coming across for a side stretch, and you're pushing that right knee away. And ease up a little bit and try flipping the leg over around without using your hands. Continue that side stretch. And reset. Flip. Now the challenge will be to flip the legs without using your hands. So hands can be kickstand behind you, or you can try them out in front. It doesn't matter which one you're doing. Flip the leg. And then flip it back, and then flip the other one. So far, so good. All right, continue. This is hip mobility, hip flexibility. It does help to kind of lean away from whichever leg you're flipping. So if I'm flipping that leg, I'm leaning away from it. And then when I'm flipping, I'm leaning away from it. Now, of course, the next level of this is to not lean so much and maybe eventually graduate to doing this without blocks. So your challenge is to do it without leaning so much and without blocks. Eventually, end up with your right knee bent and your left foot sticking out to the side. Because you're going to pelvic thrust, pull your tummy in and come on up. And feel that stretch across the front of the hips a little bit. And then drop back down. Again, I'm leaning away from whichever leg I'm flipping. Makes it easier. Switching sides. And then pelvic thrust, come on up. Make it look good. And come on down. Flip, flip, flip. Flip and thrust. Again, I've graduated off the blocks at this point. Hip thrusting. And come on down. One more time, coming to this right side, pelvic thrust, hip thrusting on up, and then we're going to stay up for a little while. I'm going to grab my padding and my blocks, have all my toys nearby. The floor's concrete in my case. Coming to this kneeling position, you might consider having that pillow underneath that right knee, because you're going to take the left leg out to the side. It's a kneeling lunge. I'm going to loosen up this left ankle a little bit. So shoulders are back, chest is lifted. The blocks are nearby in case you're really struggling with balance. Again, I do recommend some padding underneath that right knee. And you're just going to lunge off to the side. Good morning, ankle. And then back off. I've got my toes turned out. I've got my knee dialed to the side of the room. And as I lunge out to the side, I'm encouraging that knee to turn out a little bit more in the direction of the pinky toe. And then ease off. Inner thigh groin stretch. Maybe eventually working that shoulder down on the inside of the thigh. Elbow on the inside of the thigh. Maybe hitchhiking that thumb backward. One more time. Nice, good lunge here. Hitchhiking. Shoulder on the back. And then come on up. Let's do the same thing on the other side. So shuffle switch. Left knee on some padding, right leg out to the side. Like a peg leg Captain Morgan. Leg out to the side, knee turned out, and you're lunging. Loosening up the ankle, getting a bit of a groin stretch with that ankle stretch. And one more time. Hitchhiking that shoulder onto your back, pushing the knee backward, maybe hitchhiking that thumb. I'm going to stay on this side because we're going to turn it into one of my favorite side stretches. So on this left knee, right leg kicks out to the side. Imagine there was a line down the middle of your mat. Knee and heel are on the same line. You try to make yourself thin and compact as if you're between two panes of glass. If you've got ballerina foot and you can put the ball of your foot down, fine. If you don't have ballerina foot, heel down is acceptable as well. Knee stays unlocked though. So if you have a knee that hyperextends, bends backwards, try not to let it lock out. Now put your whole torso on top of that thigh and you don't want that knee to hyperextend. Also, this idea of having the knee turn out, that will help keep the knee from hyperextending. So if that foot is, if you look at it, dialing in the direction of the pinky toe a little bit, if that knee is turning in the direction of your pinky toe, that'll help keep that knee from locking out. Inhale, arms come up and overhead. And then the back of your right hand comes on the back of that right leg as you side stretch into gate pose, Parigasana. If you're nervous about your knee, you can put your hand on a block. No weight on that knee. And then with an inhale, come all the way on up. And let's shuffle switch to the other side. So starting off with that truncated Captain Morgan, and then just extending the leg. Ideally, you have shoulder over hip over knee. You have a vertical line on this right side. Again, either you're on the heel or the ball of the foot, whatever works for you. The knee is turning out, dialing in the direction of the pinky toe. Inhale, arms come up and overhead. Back of your left hand on the back of your left, top of your left leg as you come over into that side stretch. Also have that block. Block can be on the inside or outside the leg. Help keep pressure off that bent knee. Knee is bent, unlocked. And come on up. Shuffle switch. Right knee on some padding. Left leg out to the side. Again, start with that Captain Morgan type of move. Turning the knee out, having an arch in the foot, and then stretching the leg straight, either ballerina foot or heel down. Knee stays unlocked. Arms come up and overhead. And repeating this gate pose over to the side. Now do make sure you are secure. So this is where you might want to have that block, because we're going to take this top arm and wipe a table out in front. That will throw off your balance. Smack that table, shrug that top shoulder onto your back, turn your chest a little bit more towards the sky, and then wipe that table off the side of your hip. Head is still hanging off to the side. And if all of that made sense, nod yes. And then come back to center. So you might definitely want that block on the second side, because that one is a challenge for your balance. Switching sides. Starting with that Captain Morgan, knee turning out. There's an arch in your foot. Shoulder stays over, hip stays over knee as you stretch that leg out, either ballerina foot or not, whatever you got there. Block available just in case. Both arms come up and overhead. Back of your left hand comes onto your left leg or onto the block as you come into that side stretch. And then messing with your balance, take that top hand, wipe a table, smack a table, shrug that top shoulder onto your back. Continue to wipe the table down off the side of your hip. Reaching down diagonal through your fingers, letting your head hang towards your left shoulder. And so far, so good. If you haven't fallen over yet, you can nod yes. Bit of a balance challenge and a hip stretch and a neck stretch. Can you breathe? Yes, you can breathe. And reset. I know being on your knees can be rough, so we're going to do a couple more hamstring stretches, a little nicer on your knees though. We're going to come on up to standing. Bring those blocks with you. Come into a forward fold. Just a fold over in half, nothing fancy. Bend your knees, transfer your hands up onto your lap, and then come all the way on up to standing. So we're going to do some simple hamstring stretches, taking the pressure off our knees because kneeling can be rough. Kickstand. Doesn't matter which. Pick a leg, put it out in front. Whatever leg's in front, stay straight. Whatever leg is in the back, bends. Got my blocks there to put my hands on. So join me in this simple little hamstring stretch. Front leg is straight, back leg is bent. We already warmed up the ankle a little bit, so you can play with shifting forward and backward, like head to tail, kind of straightening and then bending that back knee. Hands there, of course, on blocks to help control the whole situation. Hands can be wide out to the side on those blocks or directly underneath your shoulders to help you control. Moving head to tail. So you customize this experience. Maybe shooting forward. You need more hamstring stretch. Maybe sitting down deep, shifting your weight to your hips. And then bend both knees, transfer hands up onto your lap, and come on up. Shuffle switch. Now you'll notice I'm on this black mat. There's not a big step between my feet. Same thing. Hands come onto blocks. Front leg is straight, back leg is bent. Front leg is straight, back leg is bent. And then you shift forward and backward, kind of straightening and bending that back knee. If you don't have blocks, this can be done with hands on the coffee table, hands on the seat of a chair, hands on the back of a sofa, depending on your level, what you have available. I don't think I could do this with my hands on the floor. My arms aren't quite that long enough. Also helps take your hands wide. Balance is an issue this morning. And then maybe make a mental note of the distance between your feet. If you're feeling really strong, you've got good strong blocks straight down underneath your shoulders, you might step forward, step back, or maybe even jump switch. Up to you. So switching, going back to that first side. Again, I've got the front leg straight, the back leg is bent, hinging over into this forward fold. And let me show you something funky. You're going to take your opposite diagonal arm. So if this is your left leg out in front, you take your right arm diagonal across. Hopefully that makes sense. Slide it down the pinky toe side of the leg. And breathe. Now this will allow you to waggle your hips. Almost like you're twisting and untwisting. It's a more of a side-to-side hip waggle rotation thing. And reset. Step forward, step back, or maybe jump switch. Finding that second side. Again, the front leg is straight, the back leg is bent. You're using your blocks. You can have your hands out wide to the side and just twist and waggle your hips. Or to take it up a notch, you take the opposite arm diagonal across. If that's your right leg, you would take your left arm diagonal across. I definitely recommend a hand on a block or balance as you waggle. After all of this, I think we are well prepared for a downward facing dog. So do make sure both hands and feet are on the same yoga mat as you step back into your downward facing dog. Good morning, dog. Take your feet as wide apart as your mat and stretch out those calves a little bit more. Shoulders are shrugged away from your ears. Fingers are spread wide. As you dance and prance and wiggle and waggle and swish and sway, your happy dog. So pedaling your feet, bending one knee, then the other, pushing down one heel, then the other. Let your neck grow long. Let the top of your head be very heavy. Shoulders slide onto your back, away from your ears. So your neck gets longer. And just like you're twisting your hips one way, then the other, think about twisting your head, looking underneath one armpit and then looking underneath the other. Step your feet narrow, close to one another. Bend that left knee, pressing that right heel down towards the floor, and then launch that left leg high to the sky, opening up your hips for bad dog at the hydrant. Pull in your front ribs, pull in your belly. Feel that lovely stretch. And switch, pressing that left heel down, bending that right knee, launching your right leg high to the sky. Bend that top knee if you like, pulling in that tummy. Good bad dog. Now, it doesn't matter which leg this is. I know right and left's confusing, especially on Zoom and when I'm turned sideways. Take whatever leg you got there, all the way forward, and set that knee down. Tuck the other knee in behind it. Let your heels go wide. Back your hips up. Good morning, hips. Hands can go wide as you shift forward and back. And then to shift forward, maybe lift your head up and have a quick look. Hands are wide as you shift your hips side to side. I'll show you a different angle here. Check it. Hips go side to side. Remember all that stuff we did with our shoulders at the beginning of class? Now our legs are kind of doing that same thing. Side to side. In case you haven't discovered, the floor can be kind of hard. You might want to tuck that padding underneath one or both knees, because now you've done front to back, side to side. You're going to circle around and around. And this circle will be awkward, lopsided. An ellipse, perhaps, an egg shape, circling around and around. And then, of course, we're going to switch sides. So to switch sides, I like to bring both hands, both feet on the same yoga mat and turn it into a downward facing dog. Pedal the feet a bit. Jog those hips. Maybe pull that blanket over, that cushion for padding underneath the knees. And then get ready to take the other knee, whatever one that is for you, forward. Set it down on the ground. Tuck the other knee in behind it. Feet are wide apart. And you're going to shift head to tail. Breathe. And after you've shifted head to tail a few times, you might take your hands wide and go side to side. And when you've got your head to tail and your side to side working, it's time to stir the pot around and around. And then eventually come to neutral. Uncross those legs, stretch back into your downward facing dog. You can move the pillow out of the way. Do make sure you have your blocks handy, because from downward facing dog, you're going to walk your feet to your hands to your feet. Bend your knees, transfer your hands up onto your lap. Have those blocks nearby, ready to go. And come all the way on up to standing. Shoulder shrug up, back, and down. Palms are forward, repeat. Great big shoulder shrug up, back, and down. Inhale, take both arms up and overhead. And let those arms swing. Uh-oh, she's putting it all together. Yes, I am. Here we go. And the rain came back. It's like high school English class. And then it rained at the end of the story. Okay, take that right arm, cross it over top. Give yourself a great big hug. Shoulders down away from your ears, breathing. And it rained hard. Tangling up those arms. Shoulders are down away from your ears. And again, I'm mirror imaging you. So ideally, hopefully, if this makes sense for you, you've got your right arm on top. With your right arm on top, you're going to shift your weight over onto that right leg. Keep the right knee unlocked. Left knee drives up and crosses over. And maybe you can tuck your toes behind your calf for your eagle pose. And breathe. So we've been playing around with these variations of pushing elbows forward, pulling waistline back, maybe sitting down a little bit lower. Shifting your hips towards your heels, sitting down a little bit lower. Trying not to fall over. That might happen. Balancing. And then come on up. And let's do the other side. Let those arms swing. So one of the very first things we did when we were doing the cross-legged thing on the floor was shifting head to tail. Well, you're bringing your head and your tail closer to your heels. Other arm on top. That would be your left arm on top. Elbows forward, waistline back. Standing on your left leg. Knee is unlocked. Right leg crosses over top. Toes tucking behind your calf if they go there. Elbows pushing forward, waistline pulling backward. And then you sit down low, dropping your hips down towards your heels. Breathing. So modifications, you can have that big toe on the floor. It's fine. You're still getting a lovely hip stretch, even when you're not struggling to balance. And then come all the way on up. I got variations for you though. Let those arms swing. Uh-oh, I'm turning sideways because I want to show you a slightly different variation. You're crossing that right arm on top, tangling those arms up, standing on the right leg, crossing the left leg over, pushing your elbows forward, pulling your waistline backward, dropping your hips towards your heels, getting down low, and then pushing your fingers forward, out away from you. Pushing your fingers forward, out away from you, maybe so that you can hook your elbows over your knees. What? And breathing. Now, I did encourage you to have those blocks handy because those blocks are nice and handy to turn this into a nice cross-legged forward fold. You can just gracefully fall out of that pose like you planned all along. Cross-legged forward fold. Hands on blocks. And then you get to uncross your legs. Keep those blocks nearby because you know what's coming up next is the second side. Arm swinging. Left arm goes on top. Tangle it up. Left arm on top, that means you're shifting your weight onto your left leg. Crossing that right leg over. Elbows forward, waistline back, hips dropping towards your heels. And then you push your fingertips away. Push it away. And maybe, just maybe, hook your elbows over your knees. Now, if you've gotten down this far, I'm not going to ask you to get back up. You can uncross those arms, find those blocks, and just come into a simple cross-legged forward fold. Uncross those legs. Hands on your lap, come all the way on up. Shoulders shrug back and down. Well, hopefully that didn't confuse you too much. Let those arms swing once again. One more variation here with that right arm crossed on top, tangling up those arms. Remember tilting it to the side? Where am I going with this one? Yeah, gonna take those arms, tilt them off to the side, knees unlocked, coming into a little bit of a squat. Gonna shift all your weight to that side. So arms are tilted to the right, taking that left arm over, left leg over. Come on down. Trying to get your elbows to the outside of the knee. It's a funky one. And release. And let's do the other side. Give it a good swing, crossing that left arm on top. Your left arm on top. Tangle that up, shoulders down. Hands are going to go to the left. Right leg crosses over. Everything's going to go to the left. And I'm not sure how to describe it, but there's like a groove here where your arm just hooks on top of that leg. And it gives you a lower back stretch and a shoulder stretch. You don't get any other way. It's just lovely. And release. Come on up. So let's go down to the floor and finish with a few more floor stretches, lying down. Pillow, blocks, fun stuff on the floor. The pillow goes underneath your head if you're using that. Blocks are nearby. Feet go as wide apart as the mat. Don't let those knees tick-tock side to side. Just in case you're squeezing your butt or clenching your back to hold those balancing poses. Let's make nice. Those knees tick-tock side to side like windshield wipers. So let's finish off with a good deep twist. And come to neutral. Heel toe, wiggle your feet narrow, close to one another. Bring that right knee into your chest. Cross that right leg over the left. So that means your left foot is still down on the floor. You're going to take that left foot and toe heel it across your mat to the right hand edge of the mat. Push into that left foot and bump your hips over to the right hand edge of the mat. So now you're on the outside of that left hip pocket. And let your knees come across. For a really nice deep twist. And breathe. The right shoulder might be floating, so you might want to put that right hand on your ribs. And keep breathing. So if this is your right hand on your ribs, and if you were to slide it down and smack yourself on the butt along the way, find whatever toe that is that's closest to your butt, grab a hold of that toe, and then draw that right shoulder blade down onto your back. Just do like a shoulder shrug, shrugging that right shoulder onto your back. You might be able to work your hand around to the pinky toe side of whatever foot that is. Right and left is really confusing at this point. So holding onto the pinky toe side of the foot and breathe. That leaves that left shoulder, left elbow free for you to jam that left elbow down and pry that left shoulder up and maybe fidget your chest so it lies a little bit flatter. Might do that again. Jam that left elbow down, pry the left shoulder blade up, fidget your shoulders so they lie a little flatter. And unwind, untangle, reset, come to center. Let's try that same thing on the other side. So knees bent, feet flat. Left leg crosses on top. That leaves the right foot down on the floor. Toe heel that right foot to the left hand edge of the mat. Then push into it just enough to bump your hips on over. Booty hit went to the left. Knees fall over to the right. Left shoulder might be floating off the ground, so left hand comes to your ribs. And you breathe. If you wanted a little bit more, that left hand could slide down your ribs, give yourself a smack on the butt along the way. Find whatever toe that is closest to your butt. I don't even know which one that is. Just grab a hold of whatever toe that is. And then your challenge is to hold on to the pinky toe side of the foot. So I'm going to dial hitchhike that left shoulder onto my back so I can hold on to the pinky toe edge of whatever foot that is and go for that stretch. In order to get your shoulders down a little bit flatter, your right arm is free. You can jam that right elbow into the ground and pry that right shoulder blade up. You might do that elbow jam, shoulder pry 2 or 3 times just to get a little bit more twist. I think that's my left hand holding onto my right foot, but I am all confused. And unwind. Reset. And then stretch out. Reach through fingers, reach through toes, take that nice long full body stretch. Snow angeling your hands down by your hips. Let's settle in. Nice, long, slow, deep breaths.